Liberate IT is an Oracle NetSuite solution provider that has been servicing Australian and New Zealand companies since 2011.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Nice of you to join us today. As per usual, my name is Andrew Lineker. I'm the Relationship Manager for Liberate IT. Really pleased you could join us today for the latest in our series of webinars. This is our second last one for the year. Feels like we've done a lot this year, yet they've gone very quickly. So really looking forward to jumping into the webinar shortly. Before we do, I might just give you a quick update of what's been going on around the grounds. The data center migration is continuing. So as many of you know, NetSuite have historically hosted our customers' databases over in the US. That's getting migrated over to Sydney and Melbourne over the course of about 12 months. Looking to wrap all that up, I think in about October next year. So you'll get, if you're a NetSuite administrator, you'll get an in-app notification letting you know the scheduled date for that. And so keep an eye out for that. So far, that has just gone seamlessly for everybody, which I'm really pleased about. So really glad that no one's been impacted by that. 21.2 updates are now well behind us and complete. So I really hope you're getting the most out of the latest features in NetSuite. If you're not sure what they are, go and check out our webinar on the 21.2 release that we did last month, beginning of last month, I think it was. Our consultants are really knowledgeable people and have really gone to town in that and really helped everyone with that. Some good news coming, Suite Commerce Standard is coming in 2022. So if you've heard of it, SCA is an advanced website platform that is built on NetSuite. It's very big solution. Suite Commerce Standard is also a website solution, but it's more of a website you can configure rather than build from the ground up. So keep an eye out for that, coming really the end of Q1 next year. I don't have too many details to hand, but looking forward to that arriving. Suite World in the US has just wrapped up. I think it was week before last now. If you missed that, you can, obviously you missed that, you didn't get over to the US, none of us did, but they had something called Suite World On Air, ability to log in and register for that. Those sessions are available until the 14th of November. So you can log in, check out some of those keynote speakers, some really interesting things that they're planning for NetSuite into the future. Too far in the future for us to really talk about in too much detail just yet, but it's great to know where NetSuite is headed and really excited about that. If you have new users and if you're new to NetSuite, we have our NetSuite 101 for new users. It's a little webinar that we do just to get you acquainted with all things NetSuite. And it's also the topic of today's session. So looking forward to what NetSuite have to offer there. If you want to know where all of our resources are, go to the resources page of our website. We just refreshed that landing page, by the way, so go and check it out. We've also got a YouTube channel where you'll be able to access all those as well. Housekeeping for today, we're obviously recording today's session as per usual. We'll be putting it back onto that resources page. If you have some questions, feel free to ask as they come to you. Really keen to get those answered. We're going to have a Q&A session right at the end. So I won't be asking myself or Marisa because we're actually going to collaborate a little bit today on those. So we'll answer those questions at the end. Before we kick off, as always, I'd like to just highlight Brett Marquet. It seems to be only in the last 3 months I've actually pronounced his surname correctly. But Brett has about 20 years of experience in managing IT and business strategy. He knows all things warehouses, distribution, and manufacturing. He's our optimization manager, and he's a free resource for our customers to get engaged with, spend some time. It's usually 1 to 2 hours with the senior leadership team of your business and really just work through the strategy of your business and understand how you might be able to optimize NetSuite better. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that, please contact me and I would love to set that up for you. But with no further ado, I am going to lead us into NetSuite's company-wide LCS Pass. I am joined by Marisa, who is the Education Solution Manager at NetSuite. And hey, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in just a sec, Marisa. But right now, it's all about me, right? So what we thought we'd do is do a little bit of a different thing to the usual webinar, and we're going to have a bit of a real life case study in terms of how I would operate if I've got a need that I discover from one of our customers, and how I would then go about trying to get an understanding of what NetSuite has to offer to solve those needs. So we're going to do that, and we hope that resonates with you. So first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the LCS Company Pass. So, over the last 8 months or so, NetSuite Education Services have been completely revamped. They now go beyond the one user LCS Pass with OnDemand Training, and launched a Company Pass that has more add-on education services to cater for all users at all levels. This includes flexible education services and activities to enable all the users, not just the project team that implemented NetSuite or the NetSuite administrator. And it also caters for people of all different learning styles. So I've decided to ask the expert to come in today. And so I've invited Marisa to this webinar today. She's the Education Solution Manager at NetSuite, as I mentioned, and I've been with them for about 12 plus years. Marisa, hello.
Hi there, how are you?
Great, I think I blurted all that out.
Yes, education is definitely one of my
when
passions.
We first met, when we first met, that really came through loud and clear, right? You're very passionate about learning. Lifelong learning, I think, was something that we thought that you was your mantra, which is
Yes.
really cool. And when we first met, I thought your voice sounded familiar, and then I worked out why.
Yeah, well, if you've been with a company for that long, you've been in a couple of departments. Yes, I am the voice of some of the courses. Way back then, when we first launched training online, I was the voice of the Essentials class, but I think I'm in Suite Analytics now. Sometimes it surprises me. I play the course and I'm like, oh, that's me.
Can you imagine you'd forget how many courses you've done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So what are we going to go through today, Marisa?
So what I'm going to show you is, especially for those customers who've been with us for a while, just how the LCS Company Pass has changed, and also some scenarios that will actually be applicable to some of you at one point in time, such as onboarding new users, or if you've been using NetSuite for a while, reporting and dashboards, right? How do we get the most out of it, and where can we learn about that? Great,
awesome. Okay, so let's begin our story of our real life case study. Our case study is a distributor of beverages. So my customer called me, and they've got some new users that need NetSuite onboarding. In addition, the manager mentioned that he wanted to get more out of their investment in NetSuite, right? So especially around inventory and analyzing that data in NetSuite to maximize their profit. So I dug a bit deeper, and it seems that their users were not aware of the leading practices of NetSuite, which is something that's only come in for the last couple of years, right? And so that's when I thought the LCS Company Pass would be great to help them out with these.
Yeah, look, and that's a very common scenario, right? So yeah, tell me more about them.
Okay, all right. So a bit of background. So they've been a user for around 7 years. They've got 15 users within the business. Their company has gone through a lot of growth, which is great. And NetSuite has many updates and new features in those 7 years. Those twice-a-year updates add in a lot of new features. But they've been using NetSuite the same way that we taught them around 7 years ago. And so they're looking for some efficiency, some tips and tricks. And they also tell me that they don't know what they don't know. And that's a very common story amongst my customer base. So they've got a combination of brand new users and existing users who've used NetSuite for a while. They have that one user LCS Pass, but need more content to support broader base of users and need help with their continuous onboarding. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, very common scenario. And I guess what's great, and some people don't believe, is that the training of LCS Company Pass is quite flexible. So we'll be able to have a look at those things and figure out a way of getting their new users with foundation knowledge. And like you said, they don't know what they don't know. So those leading practices will help, plus our tenured instructors, they've trained so many customers, they'll have similar scenarios, right? So yeah, and for the existing employees, I can definitely come up with some of a plan. You just need to know some of the pain points. So tell me more.
Glad you asked. So here are the top 4 issues as I know them. Onboarding that we talked about. Can we take advanced inventory management to another level with demand planning, just so that supply chains right now are really tight and really difficult. So they're really wanting to get more out of that. Better decision making in NetSuite, through reporting and analysis, just what is available there. And of course, the old favorite, safe searches and standard reports as well. They're the 4 issues as I know them.
Okay. So based on this, I know that we can definitely create a plan. There's some courses that will support it. There'll be some webinars. What will happen is an education advisor also will go through these and plan it and prioritize and say, what should we do first, right?
Yeah.
But it does cover quite a few range of users. So it's not just the one user as the one user pass. And we don't want you buying 10 one users. Well, you can't anymore anyway. So the great thing about the company pass is that it's just that one cost, right? And then everyone can access it. And if there's a new person on board, they can access it as well, as long as we give them activations.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, well, before we get on to the company-wide LCS Pass, maybe we should just talk a little bit more about those differences between that free one and the company-wide one.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so what you'll see is that one user pass is actually bundled in your license. So as the title suggests, it is one user. Let me grab my annotation. Let's see if we can get this working, since I'm a true, I used to be a trainer. So let's see how this works. Here we go.
Wow, look at you go.
There we go. So the one user pass is included in the base license. And, like typical implementations of software, if anyone else has gone through implementation of softwares, what we do is we make sure you can implement, you can go live. That's it, right? And then it's like smoke bomb, everyone disappears. Maybe not at Liberate IT, but most software companies. So what we've done is we've said, well, customers kept on coming back saying, we need more help with this. We've gone live, but I know we could do better. Or we've gone live and now our whole project team's disappeared. We need more training. So we said, okay, what's best to support them? The company pass, right? And so the focus now is with the company pass is the audience is for all users, any new users, old users, administrators, new administrators, power users. Whereas the one user pass actually only contains courses, mostly for administrator and power users. So you'll see the differentiation as well, one user versus all user. And we've also made sure that the pricing levels are about the same, because we just want everybody to have access to training. And in terms of content, just like all other training solutions that you may have used, even if you're using like LinkedIn Learning personally or anything, it's all e-learning courses, right? The differences are that we don't just throw you the course. So there's, at the bottom here, we'll talk about how there's that user enablement support, because we know that even for me, if you just give me something, I'm not gonna, I'll initially do my one course, but like you're saying, Andrew, you only know what you know. So how are we gonna get to that next step? In addition to those on-demand courses, we have end-user tutorials, and these are the best things to give you your foundational knowledge and those leading practices based on our experience of implementation and training people. So those end-user tutorials are not in the one-user pass, because the one-user pass is for administrators, where company pass is for users. You'll get asked instructor forms, so you still get support anyway when you're learning a course through a form that you can fill in if you've got any questions. And then one thing I really like is these hands-on labs and resources. So I think there's a risk, especially if you're like the NetSuite administrator, if someone's new, you don't want to let them loose in the system because they might accidentally send an invoice or pay a vendor, right? So,
yep.
So to practice, there are lab environments for most of the courses, not all, but most of the courses, right? Because some of the courses are like little 1 hour, 2 hour webinars or a 20-minute session that you just have snippets of learning. You get reference materials. If you want to do your NetSuite certificate, there's an exam prep courses. Note the exam is different because it's done by a third party. It has to be done by someone who certifies you. But to prep it, it's all there, and those include lab environments as well. And one thing that we've reintroduced is webinars. So I know you guys run your webinars every 2 weeks, but we used to just run it ad hoc, or every time there's a meetup or there's a big event. So that might be once a quarter, let's say. And they were the most popular attended. So we said, you know what? Let's get our instructors on there. Let's do 2 to 3, 1.5, 2 hour quick webinars for those that need the interaction. Or, you might be doing a course and then you find a webinar that matches that. Or the other way around, you do a webinar and then you go to do the course for more details. So that is actually, we say expert led because they're live. It's not a recording. So you can ask questions and interact. All right. Any questions before I keep on going, Andrew? One more thing here on user enablement.
No. I guess when I first heard about the free LCS pass, I just assumed it was everything in there, right? Didn't really appreciate it. It was really for organizations that are starting off with NetSuite, having the project team enabled before the project kicks off so that they know all the basics and the foundation of NetSuite, and for a NetSuite administrator, the person that's looking after them in the long term. But, in my experience, I've found that there's a lot of customers that I engage with throughout organizations that have needs, particularly around finance. They may not be the administrator, but hey, how do I run this APAR process right through to analysts, right? They just want to be able to dig deeper into NetSuite and get the data they need to help inform decision-making within the business. So I know that was a comment, not a question. I do that all the time. But that's me. So
it's a great summary, and I think that's why I like this type of webinar where I'm not just presenting, because otherwise I don't get that feedback, right? So great collaboration there. All right. So exactly what you said. We have many more courses now with the company pass. That's probably also due to the growth of the Oracle acquisition. So we're able to expand, and we have bigger teams to develop things. So one of the things as well that we found necessary was, like I said, we can't just throw you the pass.
Yeah.
What happens if you want to do a course but you can't find it, or like you're saying, how do we take advanced inventory management to the next level? What's the next course that I need to look at to determine if I need it? So so that's why we've got education success advisors now as well. So the role of our instructors have evolved a little based on their experience. Like I thought I was the longest instructor or person in education at NetSuite, but one of our other instructors, I think she said she's been there for 13 years. So
wow.
Yeah. Yep. So and she's been an instructor for that long, so she's trained a lot of people.
Can imagine.
Yep. So we take those her expertise and put it into advice. So that's an actual physical person, not a robot or a chatbot. And then we haven't.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You sure you're not a chatbot?
Sometimes people say I do because, you know, I'm a bit too passionate in the way I talk, so they don't believe me. But I can tell you I'm quite authentic.
Believe you.
And one thing I like as well is the training advising sessions. So depending on the package you get about 4 to 6, you get a few sessions, a couple of sessions. Normally they're check-in sessions once a quarter, right?
Yeah, good.
And we call them training and advising because you either use them to say, hey, I've just got a new team, can you build a plan for me? Which is what we're going to go through today.
Yep.
Or I know we've got this standard functionality and I really want to understand how to use that functionality. So if it's standard stuff where we're not consulting you, we're not, you know, saying you should go down this business process. It's just show me how this functionality works. We can also use a session for that. There are limited sessions though, so you plan it with your success advisor, and that planning as well goes with the personalized learning action plan. So based on those requirements, it's a learning action plan. So there is a difference, and like I said, it's about growth, right? It's about realizing and getting feedback and making sure that you get what you need in the company parts. That's it, Andrew, for the comparison.
Thank you. So if someone was to take up a LCS company pass, how do we kick off? What happens there?
Yeah, so although the NetSuite Learning Center is, you know, fairly easy, it's the same type of learning center as you may have seen. You know, there's a search box, there's buttons, there's courses. The first thing we do is we have an LCS kickoff session. So it's either your assigned education advisor or someone else. So you may get a few instructors depending, right, on the availability. Normally we try to give you the one education consultant, and they'll go through, first of all, we can't have everybody in your organization contacting them, right? So you definitely need to assign a primary training contact. That person doesn't have to be an expert in training or learning and development. I mean, that would help, but just someone that is the main contact, whether, you know, it might be a NetSuite administrator, and they'll go through what are your responsibilities on that. So it's a big word, but it's not that bad. Like it's just making sure you're the main contact.
Yeah. That's right.
And
okay, that's good. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, we'll go through the training entitlements, how to access the learning center. So I'll go through a demo of that later on with one of the scenarios. They'll then introduce you to your LCS manager if there's a separate person. And obviously the next steps. We can't leave you hanging, so we need to make sure that you keep on moving, get orientated, strategize, and then pass it on to the next, to your users. That's what the pass it on is. So, yeah.
Got it. So then we kicked off, you talked about the advising sessions. Could you tell me a bit more about those?
Yeah. Okay. So once the users have been activated, so the reason why we have a primary training contact is we don't know who your users are that needs it, right? We just know who the primary training contact is. So we need to, you as a primary training contact, you would need to then disseminate that information to the rest of your users and get them activated. So once they're activated and the primary training contact is ready to discuss training requirements, this might take a couple of weeks, maybe a month, who knows. We then do an advising session. And that's with that Learning Cloud Support, LCS Manager, or the LCSM. They're going to provide you some guidance, some coaching and support on what's the best education solutions to undertake, who is the best audience, when should they use it, and they'll develop a learning action plan, right? So like a document or a spreadsheet to say, do this course, what's the priority, what's the prerequisite, who should do it, right? So they'll develop that for you.
Great. Okay, cool. So now I feel like I know a lot more about the LCS Pass over and above the individual one, which is cool. So getting back to that customer that I was mentioning before in the beverage sector, you know, for that onboarding piece, what do you reckon we could do to help them out, do you think?
Okay, so let's take that example of onboarding a group of new finance users, right, on AP, AR, and GL. And then we'll focus on the reporting one later. So the first, as I mentioned, the first thing that we have in there that's different to the One User Pass are these live webinars. So for a new NetSuite user, in terms of the finance user, we currently have these 3 webinars. They're short and sharp. They're like 1.5 to 2 hours. And what they'll do is they'll cover each process end to end and also provide some tips, tricks, leading practices. And so this one here is in English. I don't know if we have any other multilingual customers or users out there, but we do also run webinars in Chinese and Japanese. And globally, if you feel like attending North America one time zone, like you can't sleep at night, then you can attend those as well.
You're not saying they're going to put you to sleep, are you?
No, not at all. You're going to learn and you're going to want to stay up all night.
Exactly. I see one of those is actually kicking off in a couple of hours. There you go.
That's true, using AP.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so these webinars, you say they're live. The temptation, I think, with Oracle would be, well, we've done AP 100 times. Let's just record that and press play. Do you have real trainers hosting those each time?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes as well, if we know that's one that's going to be attended by a lot of people, like the reporting one, we'll have 2 instructors, one presenting, one managing Q&A. Like we found that is important, right? Like having that interaction and not, like I said, not a robot or a chatbot. Yeah.
So a real opportunity for some quick learning with a real person then.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I find these great as an introduction, because they're a great high-level overview of what each module is. But there's also obviously more detailed courses as well.
All right, let's go and dig into those, huh?
Yep. Okay. So now so that's a webinar, right? That's the live part in terms of interaction. One thing I forgot to mention with the webinar is they're actually with other customers as well. So what I love doing is networking and learning from others too. So that's what I find one of the advantages of attending that. And you're not limited to attending 1 a year or 5 a year or whatever. It's however many you need to attend, as many times as you need. So that's why we continuously run it. But if you like learning on your own, there's some people who do, right? This is where you log on to the NetSuite Learning Center. I'm going to log on to there later on so you can see how that works. And here there are hundreds of on-demand courses, and they're more detailed, and they'll address a lot of the how-to questions that users have, but also if you're an admin, how do I set it up? So that's where those courses are applicable.
And are there student guides and exercises in these courses?
Yes, absolutely. So most of these here, so all of them will have student guides. Some of them will have exercises. Like there are some really short ones, like that 39-minute tutorial on fixed asset management down the bottom. That's not really going to have an exercise in there. So it's kind of like a walkthrough, right? So most of them do.
Okay. So when they do those exercises, are they doing it in their own NetSuite environment?
No. So as we mentioned at the beginning, that at that comparison, you can, if you want to, like some of the reporting courses, you may want to try it in your own environment, but I'd recommend that you request for a lab environment. So there's a form that you can go in and request if there's a lab environment available for the course. They are configured for that course and also has data so that you can successfully do the exercises, right?
I found for the reporting one, that was really important, right? Because it's saying step by step, follow these steps. So even if your concepts, you're still getting your head around, you could successfully create the report and go, oh yeah, I was able to do that successfully without having completely different data with a bunch of custom fields and forms and all sorts of things. So that was really cool. Okay, so what if you've got questions while you're doing that, right? You didn't understand the concept. You don't know why you're doing that. Is there an opportunity for any hand-holding or extra assistance?
Yes. So there'll be, for every course, down the bottom left, there's an Ask the Instructor button. And
Okay.
if you
It is
click
left.
I think so. Who's left? It might be your right, my left. I don't know. But when you click on that, basically a form pops up, and then you can document, what's the problem. It might be you're stuck on a certain step on an exercise, so you need some guidance, or you can't figure out why a certain button hasn't appeared. You thought you followed all the steps. So by submitting that form, it will go to one of our instructors, and they'll communicate with you via email.
Okay. And what's a training and advising session?
Yes. Okay. So let's go to the next slide on that. So if you prefer to take, let's say, a course a bit more further, right? So you said, okay, I kind of understand it, but I want to learn a bit more on that. And based on standard NetSuite functionality, because we're not going to understand everyone's customizations, you can use those training and advising sessions to do a training session. So let's say for that group of finance users, they've done the webinars, they've done the learning center, but they're like, well, what about bank reconciliation? How do I do that, right? So we can so our education success advisor will either point them to a course, or your users will say, well, no, really, I want you to take me through it. Can we use one of our sessions? So that's an example there. In terms of Q&A, they can definitely do a question and answer session, but it's not going to be on the spot. It's let the primary contact gather all the questions, give it to the instructor, and then we'll walk you through each of those questions, right? And answers.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or in a second example, there's Introduction to NetSuite Financial Training. So an intro so that they can then go on and do an on-demand course.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, the team at Liberate can also round out that training, right? So yes, that's on standard NetSuite functionality, but I guess our consultants who implemented NetSuite for our customers, they're very familiar with the customization and that's in place. So what we can actually do is engage a consultant to do some on-site training, and we usually do a minimum 4 hours just to make that worthwhile for everyone. The only, I guess, restrictions around that is the space requirements in your rooms, and we can train any number of people there on site. Another method that we have is, we do 2 or 3 weekly 2-hour sessions, again with a consultant, but these are remote sessions. And so what we do with those is a consultant will do some training for 2 hours, allow you that week's time to consolidate that learning and test things out. And then they're back again the next week and having another session where we can wrap up that any loose questions that you might have, and then we go on to the next portion. So we're finding that's pretty popular as well, and that's with your NetSuite data, usually in the sandbox is where we like it. We still don't like being in production doing training, of course, and we find that that's quite popular too, just to round out all that training. Okay, cool. So what am I looking at here, Marisa?
Okay, so I know we've gone through a lot today, right? So what I want to just do is summarize. Oh, my arrow is still there. let me clear that. Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Won't go. It's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck. It wants to stay there. So what I want to summarize is because there's a lot there, right? And we want to make sure we've given you enough flexibility to suit what your organization has. This is a mocked up sample. This is not exactly how the plan would look like, right? This is for a presentation, but a mocked up sample of how a learning action plan may look like. So like I said, the first meeting is an LCS kickoff session. So we take the primary training contact and any super users through it. And then I think this is animated.
Yeah, look at that.
Advising session. So as I mentioned, once you've got all your users activated, you're comfortable with the company pass, then you might have another session and say, hey, these are the training requirements. Education success advisor, what can I do to meet these goals? Okay, and then they'll recommend things like the webinars that I mentioned, the one that's going to kick off soon, the on-demand courses in the NetSuite Learning Center, and then some additional training advisor sessions. So this is a sample plan. Yours may be a little bit different or a lot different based on your scenario.
That's heaps. Thanks, Marisa. If anyone here now has a similar scenario to this customer, where you want to know more about onboarding finance users, now's a good time to take a screenshot of this plan, right? Just so that you can go, okay, if I've got some new finance users, let's screenshot that so you know, okay, what are the webinars and the on-demand courses that are available for them? I think that'd be a good thing to do. Okay, so moving on. Excellent. So the other thing is, okay, let's say I've got 100 people, 100 users in the company that are accessing the LCS Pass. How do you make sure that as the learning administrator, they're actually learning, they're actually taking advantage of the investment the company's made in the LCS Pass? Okay,
so again, the importance of the primary training contact, and one of their responsibilities is activating the training administrator portal. So this is separate from the NetSuite system, okay, because it's part of the NetSuite Learning Center. So what they can do here is they'll be able to view the activated users. Hey, maybe I should take out my arrow again. Let's try this again. So here, here we go. So here it says you have an access to the company pass for 50 people, right? These 50 people don't have to be NetSuite users. So for example, you may have 20 of them who are using the Learning Center, but then you've got 10 people in the sales team who haven't started using NetSuite yet, for example, right? But they're wanting to learn, they're starting a project. You can assign another 10 people. They don't have to be a NetSuite user. In this case here, they've just got started, so they've only got 4 activated users and only 1 person activate using courses, probably the administrator at this point. And that person spent 3 hours, right? So all this stuff, all these stats are broken down in this, what we call the TAP, the Training Administrator Portal. So for those that are like in learning and development or have those goals that you've set for your team, you can come into here. So it's only just 1 person who'll come into here and have a look and see what has been done, right? He's done about 5 hours of the courses. What courses has he done? So you'll be able to see in here consumption unique courses, and also how many people has actually subscribed and what they've subscribed to. So cool. Yeah, it allows you to monitor that commitment, right, to the goals. Yeah. So we don't have to just believe them.
Yeah, that's right. I know, you know, a common thing for someone's performance review, you know, that they might do every 6 months is commitment to some extra training. And then 6 months later, it's always a little bit of a surprise. Did you actually do that training? Because everyone just gets distracted by their day-to-day, right? And the person and the manager are both going, I forgot all about that, but the manager pretends that they didn't. And but this is a great opportunity for you know, the learning administrator just to send reminders out. Hey, I haven't seen any courses even registered for Barry in accounts payable, you know. So great overview there, which is good. Just gives you that sense of control. So enough about Barry in finance. We talked a little bit about reporting as well. We haven't touched on that yet, Marisa.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do with the LCS Pass there, huh?
All right. So that first scenario is onboarding new users, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the topic that is so popular, even, you know, for us here internally in NetSuite. It's one of those that everyone wants to do quick webinars on, and that's the reporting. What I thought I'd do, instead of going through a PowerPoint, I'm going to share my screen and then show you the actual NetSuite Learning Center. I'm logged in as myself, so you'll be able to see what a logged in version looks like. I've passed Andrew a link to a guest user pass where you can go in and navigate. You can't play any of the courses or request a lab. So, if you need to, you can do that as well. All right, let me share my screen, Andrew. Let me, this is stop. Do you want to continue? Yep. Okay. Let's see if this works. Tell me when you see it.
Yes, got it.
Okay. All right. So let me take that reporting example, right? So like I said, the first thing that will happen, I'm looking at another screen because it's on my big screen, so sorry if I'm not looking straight at the camera, is that there'll be that kickoff session. So once you have the kickoff session, it's actually a few steps to activate. So this is on our Oracle platform and there's a bit of security. So you'll need to create an Oracle single sign-on first. Like I said, this is separate from your NetSuite sign-on, okay? So it could be different email address, different person. Then you'll get access to this, and there's actually a couple of videos you can watch, very quick 4-minute videos on how to get started as a new user, how to explore the NetSuite Learning Center. But either way, our education consultant will have a half-hour session with you, taking you through here. As per the plan, the first thing that we normally take people through is the webinars. So this is where the live webinars are. At the moment, it will open up another page where you can see the schedule. This is due to change soon. So you may see a bit of a change in the way you register in the future, okay? I know it's in the works at the moment, but the webinars will still be there. So there's different time zones, and obviously the Japan and the China ones are done in Japanese and Chinese. There's also advanced topics as well. So these are for those taking next level, which is perfect now for reporting, right? So if I go to the JPAC advanced topics, next level safe searches, some of these are passed already. Sorry guys, you missed out. But we'll repeat them again because they're popular. And for that reporting, these are the good ones to sort of take you to the next level. Next level safe searches, report like a boss, dashboard wizard, right? But if you're just starting out, let me go back to the top. There's definitely ones that we repeat every single month, and they are, let me see if I can find them. Here we go. The Suite Analytics financial reports and searches. Even if you're not a financial user, this is still a good course. The only difference is we go through customizing financial statements. We still go through safe searches and customizing standard reports, right? You still have time for that one there to enroll, so that's on the 22nd of November. But just remember, even though this says Suite Analytics, the course normally takes, I know when I used to deliver it live, it takes 2 full days to deliver it. So this is a 1.5 to 2 hour webinar. It's only going to take you through an overview. Yeah. Because then the next step is you come into the Learning Center and find that course, right? So if I'm looking for Suite Analytics, I would go either search it, right? Or go to the NetSuite topic called Suite Analytics. It is a NetSuite term, so you need to be familiar with what you're searching for. I'm going to click on that, right? And then what it does is it filters down below here to 2 areas. There are learning paths. So if you want to be a full expert on Suite Analytics, these are a full path of 59 hours, 33 hours, 44 hours, right? Yeah, it's a lot. but for me, I like to go straight to the courses, or you can filter by courses. And here, basically, there's that many courses, 13 courses, because Suite Analytics is mentioned in these here. But you can see there's the one that matches that webinar that I just attended. Let's assume I just attended it. I've actually favorited it. I've started it already. And when I click on it, and I've opened this up just to save time, all right, there's a playlist. So if you're already familiar with it, but just want to learn about KPI scorecards, just jump straight to KPI scorecards. You don't need to do the full course. But I really love this course. I think this is one that I teach as well. I'm not sure, so we'll have to see.
It sure is.
Yeah, but also once you play it, right, there are closed captions as well, and there's settings and there's like speed. So if I'm talking too slow in this, then you can speed me up or down, right? It's a typical learning center. But what I really like is its transcript as well. So if I am searching specifically for KPI, I can just go search video KPI and it will find it all. And then I can go, oh, KPI tables, click on. Yeah, it is me. There we go. And it'll take you straight to that, right? So that's what I find quite interesting and good. It's not just a learning course, right? Lab environment, so you can request your lab here. Do note it does take a bit of time to do because we need to verify and make sure we get the right labs to you. Student guides that you can download, right? So I've downloaded one here. Let me just see if I can go through. And you can see a table of contents, exercises, or actually that's the exercise and that's the solution, so you're not stuck.
Yeah.
What else is there? And just a description and prerequisite forms. So in the guest user pass, you won't be able to play it, but you'll be able to see the playlist, and I think you can see the about as well. That's
okay.
Yeah. What else is there? I think so that's for the beginner. There's another course which not many of you guys may be familiar with, and I think is quite useful. If you're interested in taking reporting to the next step, I would definitely recommend looking for a course called Workbooks, right? This one is great. It's a functionality that I've been waiting for a very long time, and they finally have it. For those that are familiar with safe searches and reports, it's kind of those two mesh together. Or if you're familiar with Excel, it's like doing your pivot tables within NetSuite. So this course, it's not a long course, it's 7 hours, right? So you can break it up over 2-3 days. Is that a long course? I don't know.
That's long. 7
That's
hours.
not long. Gosh, they're like 1 hour modules. Look, there's even an 8-minute module in here.
I'll start there.
Yeah. But this one comes with a lab environment as well. Oh, and there's the Ask the Instructor. That's the one I was supposed to show you. The Ask the Instructor, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you just choose what's the type, what's the question. If you need to choose a file to like snapshot something, screenshot something, that's kind of there.
And I know the Suite Analytics Workbook was one of those features that did get updated, you know, and has been getting updated regularly in the most recent release, right? So
yes.
What's good about, I think, about these LCS courses is that they're updated and kept up to date with the changes of what's happening in NetSuite. Whereas, you know, we've got some that we created 6 years ago and the whole user interface looks the old NetSuite and all the rest of it. It's still up there for you to have a look at, but you know, it's a little bit dated.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not the training administrator portal, but each individual can look at their progress. Mine obviously needs to be updated because I've done about 4 or 5 certifications, but that's in my employee center. This is the customer center, so that's why it doesn't show that.
Sure, Marisa.
All the courses. In the 12 years, you hope that I'm certified. Actually,
so much for passionate about learning, huh?
Over here, we can't get promoted unless we're certified. So that's a motivation for us. Yeah. So let me stop sharing here and you can go back to your...
Yeah, I'll share my screen. All right, cool. Here we go. So, might be worthwhile going through the plan, learning plan for the analysis style courses, Marisa?
Yeah. So, you know, different set of users, right? Onboarding new users and then training maybe existing or even new users and reporting. So instead of a kickoff meeting, we'll have a training strategy meeting, right? So that meeting will go through what needs to be, who's the audience, what type of learners are they, what would they like to learn? And then as mentioned, I would then recommend the webinar. As you saw, that's in, I think, 22nd of November is the next one for that one.
Yep.
Go into the course, maybe do a deep dive if you need it, only if you need it. And then take yourself to the next level and understand workbooks. But if you're already there, go straight to the workbooks. Learn on that. That's a great course to go through.
I like that. I like how the webinars then lead into the actual course themselves. So sometimes you just need the context before you just jump into a random course. You don't really know what it is that you're going to be learning. I like how you've joined the webinar and the actual course together.
And not all of them will be like that. So as we continue on, we're going to have more scenario-based webinars, so like case studies. So they'll be able to point you to a specific course, but not one that is relevant to that case study, of course.
Well, we've done pretty well for time. What I think we should do, let's wrap up everything we talked about today. How does that sound?
Yep, but there's a lot, right? And sorry if I talk too fast or if I've gone through too quickly, but that's where we can do Q&A at the end. Yep. So you can see that the pass has different things. And what I find, it's different to other organizations as well because of that element of Education Success Advisor, live webinars that you can attend as many times as you want on a schedule, right? Not ad hoc. So there's e-learning, 1,000 hours worth, where you will need your Education Success Advisor to probably tell you which ones to go to. Ask instructor forms for that support. The lab environments, unlimited. So you can ask for whatever you need. They do expire, though. I think they expire after 90 days or something. You'll get an email saying when they expire.
Yep.
And of course, the amazing live webinars by our instructors. So they're all the on-demand stuff, right? And then the most important part for me is really the guidance, making sure that you're using the pass. We don't want you to get the pass and just leave it there. So there will be check-ins with you via email or phone calls every 3 months, just to make sure you're on track. Are you using it? How are you using it? And then developing a learning plan similar to that grid that we created.
Fantastic, Marisa. Well, now is the time for some questions. Now, the problem with doing a webinar with someone who's a trainer is we don't have any questions, right? I'm sure you've answered them all already. And I've kind of done my comments along the way. But look, the LCS Pass was a bit of a surprise to me at Liberate. I've been working with NetSuite 6 years. Very much it was, hey, there's a bunch of manuals in the help file. There's a couple of videos, again, in Sweet Answers that you can access and get started. And we were actually directing people to those before they kicked off, right? Before even the individual pass was made available. It looks like the content is a lot more thorough and thought out and well designed compared to where we were just even a few years ago. That wasn't a question again. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at questions. Look, Marisa.
Sorry, that was my cue.
That was your cue. We've got to rehearse this better.
Yeah, look, it has changed. And like I said, with the growing of the team and also focusing more on those customer feedback and able to implement them now, that's where it's evolved. And it will continue to evolve with the learning as well. I just want to make sure everyone's trained up. That's my role, right?
Yeah, that's right. And my role is making sure that our customers are getting the most out of their investment in not just the LCS Pass, but NetSuite in general, right? And I genuinely think the LCS Pass will help them with that. There's a lot that you can do in, say, advanced inventory if you're trying to manage inventory and your supply chain and all that sort of thing. But we've seen significant inroads in demand planning module in the last, 4 releases, where our team are going, actually, this is adding even more value than it used to, right? But our customers may not know that because there's only one of me, unfortunately, so I can't get in front of everyone all the time. And I'm not allowed to travel at the moment either, which is annoying. So the LCS Pass is a nice little shortcut to understand, that is available. That is something we're able to do, which is really good. Well, thank you, Marisa, for your time today. Really appreciate you joining the Liberate webinar series. It's been great having you. And I'm going to wrap up in just a second. Got any final words for us?
Yeah, well, looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys on the webinars and on the training courses. Do interact as much as you need with the Education Success Advisor. I can definitely vouch for the team. It's that makes it easy for me to present and make sure that they deliver. And if there's any feedback at all, definitely feed that back to us, right? Whether it's to Andrew or directly to me or Education Success Advisor, we want to work on that feedback. So let us know.
Brilliant. Thanks again. Well, just to wrap up officially, in a fortnight time, I have Lasse from our team taking you through all things manufacturing in NetSuite. He's really keen to show the mobile to tablet technology of what you can do to run your manufacturing process through that. And I thought, well, let's also go through the whole paper-based solution as well and show you the whole thing end to end there. So we're going to start with a really simple sub-assembly and then right through to complex whip, which will be cool. Okay, and that will be it for the year. So please do get along to that. That's a fortnight from today. Invites will be going out shortly for that. In terms of housekeeping, this recording will go to our YouTube page, as I mentioned at the start. If you've got any follow-up questions for me, please get in touch with me, andrew.liniger@liberateit.com. If they're specifically for Marisa, you don't have her details, I can get hold of her for you. But that's it for us. Thank you very much for your time, and bye for now. Thanks so much.
We hope this video gave you the information you were after. If you have any further questions, get in touch with us using the links in the description. At Liberate IT, we can provide free consulting to understand your business system requirements, understand your company growth plans, and provide free NetSuite demonstrations. For more information, visit our website.